Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Drinking Wine at 9. My name is Mats. Why? Because it's 9 o'clock and we be drinking. Today, I have such a special guest with me. I consider him wine royalty. His name is Nick Hetzel. He's a master sommelier. Everybody in TV land, what that means is that he's the best and the brightest of our craft. There's less than 200 of him in the United States. So I am just blessed and graced with his presence. Nick, welcome to the table.
Thank you so much, Mats. Happy to be here. It's great. Chilly day here in
winter
Denver.
has returned with a vengeance.
Wine tastes better in the winter.
Okay, you're absolutely right. We have these beautiful Hartford Court wines that you're going to tell us all about.
Great, yeah. So I am the Director of Sales and Education for a great family-owned and operated winery based in the Russian River Valley, as you mentioned, known as Hartford Court. So yeah, we've been around since the early 90s, 1994 to be specific. Yep. Don Hartford and his wife Jenny started this with an eye on expressing place in Sonoma County. Because at that point in time, there certainly were producers that were doing it. You know, Celium came around in the 80s, was working on single vineyards, but that was sort of our passion project in 94. And we started with 3 wines, all single vineyards.
Love that.
2 of which we produce today. 2 were Pinots and 1 was Zinfandel, which we'll get to later. But we've grown a bit since then. We're making now like roughly 45 different wines all up and down the coast. All the way from the Willamette Valley down to Santa Barbara, but we do everything at the winery. And for us, in an effort to express place, right? For us, it's about being pretty hands-off in the winery. So we do everything natively fermented. We don't add anything, essentially. And that, for us, helps us express where these wines come from.
This smells gorgeous.
Thank you very much,
The Chardonnay.
Yeah. So this is our Russian River Valley Chardonnay. And I think, you know, really, cheers, by the way. You know,
Cheers.
We're not drinking, we're learning.
As I drink
I think
wine.
I won in life. I'm drinking wine at 9 in the morning. So this comes from many different vineyards throughout the Russian River Valley, which, as you all may know already, hopefully you've been able to travel there or Sonoma County before. Heavily depicted by fog and wind from the Pacific Ocean.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. And so for us, it's about maintaining that balance. Again, we're not adding anything. We're letting the place speak in the wine.
Yeah.
What are you getting on this wine? What do you think?
This is a beautiful example of bright acidity. On the nose, I'm getting little buttercreams and maybe some brioche or Girl Scout cookies because it's that time of year. But it's like you said, it's balanced and it has layers. It's dry, it's crisp, it's almost tropical without being cloying or buttery.
Right.
This is not your glass of hot buttered popcorn.
Heck no.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, well played. Yeah, I think, you know, for us, especially with our Chardonnays, because of our native ferments, we always get this sort of like mid-palate creaminess, but not that butter thing.
Right.
So you get texture and a little bit of weight, but again, balance from some pretty cold coastal vineyards, that pop of acidity, some more kind of ripe fruit notes from some of the warmer vineyards. But again, all these awesome spots within the Russian River Valley.
Absolutely.
All come together in one bottle.
Fantastic, fantastic. So let's go on to the first red.
I like it.
Okay.
So this would be the Pinot brother or sister, as it were, of the Russian River Valley Chardonnay. This is Russian River Valley Pinot Noir. Again, we're going for something very classic. And to me, especially as a master sommelier, like often I'll look at wines as, okay, is this benchmark? Could I make a blind tasting note out of this?
Right.
And I think we always nail it with this Pinot because you get that black cherry cola, right?
Yep.
There's a explosion of fruit.
Right. You get pomegranates, black walnuts, you get a little cassis and some kirsch. And after tasting this, I have to give credit to the winemaking team. Tian Lorden and Jeff Stewart, they're just masters at their craft.
They're amazing, yeah.
And it really shows in this beautiful glass.
Thank you. Yeah, and some other things I typically want to find from Russian River Pinot is things other than fruit, right? We want to have fruit, we want to have texture, but think about things like umami, right? Like soy glazed shiitake mushrooms, dried leaves, dried tea, black tea, that kind of thing.
Forest floor.
Forest floor.
Without it being funky.
Exactly.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not Burgundian in style. It just has depth.
Depth. Yeah.
And
Complexity.
flavor.
Yeah. Nice.
That's what I like about Pinot Noir because it's so diverse. And what would you pair with this?
Peking duck all day,
Okay.
every day.
Okay.
I actually had this with Peking duck 2 weeks ago in Miami, and I was thrilled.
So lucky.
Again, that umami note with good Pinot is it's just incredible. Yeah.
Amazing. So we have another Pinot that is really super special.
It is, yeah. So this
I love that nose.
is a wine we call Land's Edge.
Okay.
So Land's Edge, for all of you that are highly intuitive out there, and for yourself, as you can imagine, these are vineyards that come from the edge of the continent. So we have 2 vineyards that are in what's called the West Sonoma Coast, which is kind of the true Sonoma Coast. Both of these vineyards are about 4 miles from the ocean,
Okay.
at about 800 to 1,000 feet in elevation, which in Colorado doesn't seem like much, but when the
Right.
Pacific's right there.
Yeah.
So we're getting heavy coastal influence, and it's amazing how going, 8 miles as the crow flies from Russian River Valley out to here,
Sure. What a difference.
maybe 10, the difference in profile,
Yeah.
right? I think to me this is a little bit more punchy, more explosive.
Yeah, I'm
and
getting
the
a lot-
vineyards are very different, even though they're the
Right.
same kind of general ridge line.
I'm getting some blueberry compote,
Yeah.
a little white pepper, something that's chocolate covered cherries,
There
but
you go.
still dry
Yeah.
and very palatable.
Nice. Yeah, I like that chocolate call. Often our winemakers on one of the vineyards, when they're tasting it fermenting or just in tank, they get this note of mocha,
Okay.
which is super rare to get mocha without having had any oak content at any
Right.
point. But I think a little more tannins in the
they're-
Russian
they're
River, so this is a
firm.
little more
They're
like
gripping.
ribeye night,
I can
but
feel
you
it.
still want Pinot. This would be a good option for
Oh,
that.
it'll easily hold up to any steak with the chimichurri sauce. One of my
There's a
favorites.
savory element here.
Right, blue cheese sauce.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
And these are so affordable. Miss Sheila already has them on sale, so we're passing on these amazing wines and the savings to you, our loyal customers, and this is just fantastic. We have one more wine. My favorite, I love me some Zinfandel.
Sweet.
I know. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, so I mentioned, in '94, we set out to express Burgundian grape varieties in Sonoma County from a single place. Well, the Hartfords lived on a little road on the west side of Santa Rosa called Wood Road. On Wood Road, there's essentially like 6 little ranch homes and 6 vineyards that were all planted kind of late 1800s, early 1900s. So it was like, well, of course we're going to make Zinfandel from our backyard.
Yeah. I love that.
So yeah, average age of the vines on this are about 120 years. And a fun story: our first winemaker, Dan Goldfield, who has a great winery that he does now, one of the great personalities of the Russian River Valley. He went into Don Hartford's office after the wine had been fermented, it was in barrel, and he's like, Don, I think I made the best wine I've ever made. And Don said, well, which one of the Pinots was it? And he said, it's actually the Zinfandel from your backyard. And I think, this is truly that like old school classic Zinfandel where it's really explosive on
Yes,
the nose,
it's big, it's
but it's
spicy.
almost kind of crunchy and
Yeah.
it has brightness on the palate, right?
It's unctuous. It's chewy. It has everything in this glass that you would want from a gorgeous bottle of Zinfandel. And that's why I love it so much, simply because it is so flavorful and so expressive.
Yeah.
And that's what you get when you have Zin. And I can have this every week, absolutely, because it's just so dynamic.
It is.
It really, really
Yeah,
is.
and it's, again, I mean, there's a lot of beautiful old vine Zinfandel produced in
Yes,
California.
I
There's also some Zinfandel that can be quite sweet and jammy. I think this toes the line in between that classic kind of old school style, but also a lot of fruit.
Right.
I mean, we just had the Super Bowl in New Orleans. For me, like, if you did a little like barbecue shrimp, you could even do with this. Bring in again some of those sort of like sweet
Sure.
flavors from barbecue.
Or
Could be
a
really good.
nice Colorado fillet.
Yeah.
Something Angus.
Yeah,
And
Colorado lamb.
yes. And speaking of which, Mott's has a welcome to winter Colorado present for you, because he is an amazing foodie as well, spending time between Napa and Las Vegas, that I make a special bourbon smoked pepper
All right.
that you could cook with it, use it sparingly, use it liberally. It's up to you. Go ahead and smell because that's for you.
Thank you.
And it's nothing short of amazing. And
Typically, when opening glass jars like this in Colorado, there's something else inside.
not today. Isn't that? It's just intoxicating.
Beautiful. And
Yes.
yeah,
With these wines, with the steak, with that pepper,
awesome.
you're golden.
Thank you.
You're golden.
Very kind. I
So,
appreciate it.
absolutely, thank you so much for joining me at our humble little table in Colorado, because these wines are just unforgettable. So everybody come on down, and thank you again for introducing us to these great wines, because you yourself are amazing.
Well, thank
So,
you. You're amazing.
Cheers,
Some of
and
the best. Cheers.
we hope to see everybody soon.
All right.